Welcome
to
Those Two Chicks
with a podcast
and one without a voice.
Yeah.
Boo. But on the bright side, Emma's not going to need... What? Why are you making that face?
There's a song. What is that song?
I don't know.
One voice was heard. What is that song?
I definitely don't know.
I'll get back to you.
Okay. Well, yeah, but the good news is I won't be blasting your eardrums this week.
Just me.
Just you. I feel like I might be able to get loud. It's just going to sound really screechy, which might be even worse.
Yeah.
So I'll try to be quiet, which is going to be easy today because it's Emma Grace's True Crime Tuesday.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun. Isn't that what we did last time?
Yep.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. We need to make a song for it.
Mm-hmm.
We need to have a day where we just make up the songs.
Yes.
For all the little things.
We got a lot.
Dan needs a song.
He does.
Anytime Dan comes in. What do you think Dan's song would sound like?
Dan.
Dan the man.
Dan.
I played our recent episode of our underwater aliens for Dan.
Yeah.
Because you're like, Dan, if you listen to this, shut up.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he was dying laughing because how much times the box elder bug. Like, we talked more about him.
Yeah.
And he wasn't really.
It's not a box elder bug, it's a stink bug.
Yeah.
Shh, Dan. He's working at my house right now, actually. He's been, poor guy. Dan, okay, for all my ladies out there, especially the ones that are married, we all rope our husbands into doing shit, right? Mm-hmm. Well, Emma roped hers because he built houses in high school.
Yeah.
So I needed work done. She's like, oh, Dan will do it.
Yeah.
She just said that. And Dan's like, yeah, she just volunteers me for stuff.
Though I would like to clarify, I did ask him, and he said, sure. So,
what the wife says goes, sure.
Right.
Sure. But he's very talented, I will say. Like, he could like build those doors like as a business. He really could.
Probably.
He like framed part of our room. We're getting a room finished, our bedroom, and then he this opening that we have for the kids' area where they're sleeping. We're living in my parents' basement. It's just awesome to say at 25. Because I have a sick parents, not just because I wanted to. But, well, I did want to. Oh, my God. Here we go. Anyway, so we had to modify this thing so we could live there comfortably. Anyway, so our kids are sleeping in this little nook of the room. So we needed a divider. But it's a huge opening, and we had to custom make barn doors for it. And Dan did it because he's crafty.
Yep. That's my husband.
That was that.
Dan the man.
Dan the man.
Dan.
Dan.
There it is.
That'll be it.
Dan the man.
And then I tried to scare him with our Lila's baby camera just a minute ago.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, I'm a ghost. And he's like, you think I didn't see that camera there? I'm like, okay, well.
Dan's sassy.
Way to take the fun out of it.
Okay, so my true crime case for you today is actually a case suggestion from one of our listeners.
Yay.
So thank you to Jordan.
Our third Jordan.
Another Jordan.
She's in our Jordan club, and I'm going to send her a jacket.
You better.
I mean, I don't know when, but I'll think about it.
One day.
All of our fans that are named Jordan, email us in and we'll send you a jacket.
Okay.
Eventually.
So anyway, she sent us this case, so we're covering it today.
Okay.
Today I'm going to tell you about Jessica Heeringa. And before I begin this case, like we just talked about, there is a huge trigger warning. This case is heavy and it covers topics including domestic abuse, sexual assault, kidnapping, inappropriate videos, just a lot.
So all the terrible things.
Every terrible thing you could think of,
Children?
put it on the list. Yep.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
But I don't cover as much.
Okay.
I did take some stuff out just so I thought it was something that it was mentioned, but I don't think it's necessary to this case.
Okay.
So.
Okay, just don't do that to me today.
Good luck.
I've had enough of children things.
Right. But if this is too hard for you to listen to, we understand. We'll see you Friday.
We're going to have a fun Friday.
Yeah, Jordan doesn't have a choice here because she's here, so she has to listen to it. Jessica Lynn Heeringa was born on July 16th, 1987. She was a mom to a little boy in her 20s, and she was engaged. Jessica was working at Exxon gas station in Norton Shores, Michigan. And for those that were wondering, Norton Shores is south of Muskegon. So on April 26th, I just said 1913.
1913.
But I meant to say 13.
Wow, going way back.
She was born in 87.
This is a case of time travel.
On April 26, 2013, it's a Friday night, Jessica's fiancé, Dakota, who was unemployed at the time, would stay at home to watch their son, so Jessica could go work the closing shift at the gas station. Jessica was known to be a smart girl. She loved to journal every day. She wanted to continue her education, but at that moment, it just wasn't an option for her since she had a small child at home and bills to pay. So financially, they had their struggles, which is so real for a lot of people.
I feel that.
Yeah. Norton Shores was Jessica's hometown, and just recently both her mom Shelly and one of her sisters Samantha moved away. So Jessica just had her fiance, her son, and the people who would stop at the gas station. It was said that Jessica made connections with a few of the frequent customers, and they would wait until it was her shift to go to the gas station. Oh, they really liked her.
That's nice.
I know, she had her little frequent customers.
Yeah, cute.
So April 26, 2013, Jessica's working. It's 11 p.m., and one of Jessica's regular customers, Craig, swings by the gas station to fill up his car. Now, Craig doesn't need to buy anything else, so he doesn't go inside. He just pays at the pump, but he notices the pump won't activate. It didn't alarm him because he figured Jessica was getting ready to close up anyway. So Craig heads inside the gas station to ask Jessica if she could turn the pump back on, but Jessica isn't behind the counter. Craig starts looking around inside, but she's not there. He starts calling out her name. No answer. He later told news stations that he almost left that night to go get gas somewhere else, but he had a weird feeling and at the same time kind of felt a little silly because it was just an empty gas station, but her car was still in the parking lot. Yeah. And after looking everywhere, the gas station back room office, he notices something strange. By the cash register is Jessica's purse. He then saw that the cash register was open just a tiny bit. So obviously it was then that Craig knew something was wrong.
Very sus.
Yes. So he called the police, and even I listened to his phone call message, and even when he called them, he basically second-guessed whether it was an emergency or not. And it was kind of like, so I'm there, no one's here, and I don't know if it's weird, like, no one's in the scat. Like, it was just very, like, he's like, I called out, so I would just let you know, but there's a car here, found the purse.
Yeah.
So it's a very, like, he's trying to be helpful, but he really doesn't know if this is wasting their time.
Yeah.
There was no hard evidence that he could tell that would tell him something was wrong, but he was one of her regular customers, and the idea that she would just walk away from work real quick, but to leave her purse in her car would just be an odd behavior.
Right, where would she go? Is this gas station, like, out in the middle of nowhere?
It doesn't look like anything, really.
Yeah, so, like, where would she be? Yeah, it's weird.
Right, and just to be like, I'm going to be back real quick, but I'm going to leave my purse and my car. And it's like, okay, that doesn't make sense. So officers took Craig's call and went to the gas station to investigate, and they immediately felt like something was wrong. The officers noted that her car was still there, like Craig said, as well as her purse, which had $400 in it.
Oh.
They found her jacket in the back area, and police saw that the cash register was slightly opened, but all of the cash was still inside.
Interesting.
So to the police, it was clearly not a robbery. Police officers then called to send over more officers so they could treat this as a crime scene. So once the other officers came, they looked around and they found outside by the back door was a smudge on the concrete that to them looked very similar to blood. They took a sample so they could send it to testing immediately. They knew results would take a while, but they started to realize that it was clear the motive was Jessica. I would also like to mention that the gas station at the time did not have any security cameras.
Ugh.
Police decided they needed to talk to two people. The first person was Jessica's fiancé, Dakota. So Dakota gets a ride to the gas station, and police ask him flatly, where was he? What has he been up to? He said he was home the entire night with his son. He said that they only have one car, which was at the gas station. That's what Jessica took. But he couldn't prove it. Like, he didn't have any solid alibi. He was at home.
Yeah, with a baby.
Police didn't see any red flags with Dakota. It just seemed like their relationship was fine. And it was going to take more time, but they planned to use Dakota's call records to give him an alibi.
Oh. Okay.
But they felt like they could move on. So the second person police called was the gas station's manager, Sue. They asked her where she was that night, but also they just wanted to know if anything strange recently might have been out of the norm for the gas station or about Jessica. The crazy thing was that her and her husband just happened to drive past the gas station that night completely unrelated.
Oh.
But when she drove by, she noticed a minivan parked in the back of the gas station. She said it was very strange, and she stopped and watched because she was worried. There's two things that was kind of odd, but two articles. I'll mention them both. She was worried that they were either trying to steal something, or someone in the article said that the manager thought that Jessica was trying to steal something.
Oh.
So either way, it's there.
Yeah.
But I guess whatever story you've heard more.
Wish
I don't
she
really
would
know.
have went in.
Now, they didn't see any theft, but they did notice a man. They didn't get the best look of him, but he was in the vehicle, got out, went to his trunk, adjusted something, closed the trunk, and quickly got back in the minivan. She unfortunately didn't get a license plate number, but she could tell the police that it was a silver Chrysler Town and Country minivan. And all she was able to tell about the description of him was a 6-foot white male between 30 to 40 years old with wavy brown hair. And she went to a composite sketch artist, and with Sue's description, they quickly drove a man which they think might have done something to Jessica. And I will show you the sketch that they have.
Yes, show me.
So this is what she described him as.
Yikes. So very thin, long nose.
Yes.
And thin lips.
Yes.
I mean, that's a pretty distinctive face. Like, usually when you see those sketches, it's like, okay, that looks like that could be anybody. But that's, like, very... I don't think I've even seen a guy who looks like that in person.
Yeah,
very skinny face.
Honestly, just that job in general, like, the sketch artist, I don't understand it. Because sometimes it's like... Then when they actually catch the person, like, that doesn't even look anything... Like, I guess kind of. But like you said, sometimes they look like so many different people.
Yeah. I think it's really hard with those types of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you're really relying on people to have the best descriptions,
people's
too.
memories go so fast. Remember we talked about the memories and how, like, it'll get mixed up early on, but then it'll clarify again, like, years later. It's like, that, I don't know, it's just hard.
But to, like, even describe someone's, like, eye color.
Yeah.
Like, there's different shades of brown and
different shades of blue. I'd be horrible at that.
Yeah, I'd be like, I don't know.
It's like two people who don't know what the hell's going on, and they got to work together to make a picture. Right. I don't know. We had a nose. It was pretty big. I don't know.
They'd be like, do you have a nose? I don't know.
I don't remember. No, he was kind of like Voldemort. I don't know. I'm voting Kadabra.
I hate that. I don't know. I would hate that as a job.
Yeah, me too. That makes me nervous. It makes me kind of feel like I have to poop just thinking about it.
Ooh. Okay. Anyway.
Okay.
That's the sketch. Police showed the sketch to the family, and Jessica's mom and sisters did not recognize the man. He doesn't look anything like Dakota, and he doesn't look like any of the customers. And they could confirm that with, like, the manager. They're like, that's not a customer we've had.
Yeah.
So
is Norton Shores a small town? I can't remember if it is or not.
Norton Shores City, and look, it's huge. And, oh, you know what?
Is it big?
24,000 people.
Oh, that's big.
Yeah.
That's pretty big.
On May 1st, police released a sketch of the man to the public. Hundreds of reports and tips are brought to the police, but they kept coming up empty-handed. They have no idea where Jessica might be, and police had to be creative and look at the transactions from the cash register to create a timeline of when Jessica might have gone missing. Again, there is no footage they can go off of.
Yeah, it's just
so
horrible.
They're going off of when her last transaction. So police know that Jessica sold a lighter at 10:54 p.m. We know that Craig called 911 at 11:07 p.m. and Craig said it was about 11 p.m. that he arrived to the gas station.
Wow.
He found the pump was off, went inside, looked around, and then called the police. That was around 7 minutes for Craig. Mm-hmm. There's maybe, 6 to 8 minutes of when she was gone.
So do they think that the person who bought the lighter is probably the person who took her?
At this point, yes.
Yeah, it's gotta be, because if that lady was just driving by, he had enough time to, like, grab her and, like, it's gotta be.
Well, and then you have to think about, like, the cash register was slightly open.
That would make, maybe she was, like, putting the cash away when he,
It was, like, the last person.
Interesting.
Which, honestly, that's just terrifying to think about.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like, that's not a lot of time. And and also, like, if you think Craig being there at 11 o'clock, did he see them drive away even?
They could have been, like, on the same
street or anything.
Right.
So on May 8th, investigators got the results from the sample they took from the concrete, and it was confirmed to be blood, and it was a match to Jessica. To the police, Jessica just vanished. They held multiple searches, found nothing. All the reports and tips they were given were all dead ends. Nothing was helpful for police. And they only had the small window of time, the manager that saw the minivan around the same time that Jessica was taken, and there's nothing.
It'd be really hard to live with.
Yeah, so really, if you look at the timeline, what could have happened that night? And I'm just speculating here of what we have. The manager drove by, saw the minivan.
And she stopped.
Yeah. Stopped and just thought, well, there's nothing. They got back in their minivan, thought, well, that's just kind of weird. Drove away. Then that person must have gone in there.
Well, he was adjusting something in his trunk, right? What if he had already had her?
Well, that too.
Yeah. Ugh, that creeps me out to think about. Ugh, I hate that.
So the case goes cold. The lead detective, Mike Casher, kept in touch with Jessica's family, but it was frustrating that he couldn't crack the case and bring Jessica home. But he wanted to keep the family updated in case anything new happened because he wasn't going to drop the investigation, even if it was cold. 7 months go by, and Mike is talking with Shelley, and Shelley is Jessica's mom.
Oh, mom, okay.
Yep. And Shelley asked the detective if they ever found anything in Jessica's journal because she never read it. And Mike looks at Shelley and goes, "What journal? I've never even heard of her having a journal." Shelley swears that right when Jessica went missing, she told Dakota, the fiance, "Make sure you give this journal to police. That's going to help them find her." Her whole life's in that journal. So Shelley and the detective realized that Dakota had been keeping Jessica's journal a secret for 7 months.
Ooh.
And so Mike gets the journal from Dakota and starts immediately reading it. And it was pretty clear that Dakota was not the man Jessica's family thought he was. Jessica wrote about how unhappy she was with him and how controlling he could be. He was also sometimes physically abusive. It was impressive that Dakota didn't destroy or lose the journal.
That's what I was just thinking.
Yeah, they were like, how did you have this for 7 months and didn't get rid of the evidence?
I can't believe that he would just give it to him. Like, he didn't say, like, oh, we misplaced it or something.
Right. Jessica's family is obviously, they're shocked. They spent so much time with him and had no clue what was happening. And they were under the impression that they only had one car and one phone because money was tight, but it was because Dakota wanted to track where she was at all times and who she was associating with. Jessica wasn't allowed to be on Facebook. She had restricted friendships with people, and when you know the information now, her working at the gas station, not pursuing the education she wanted, the regular customers, all that she really had to have somewhat of a normal life.
Oh, that's sad.
So if you really, that's something I thought about. I'm like, no wonder. I mean, she had all these regular customers, but those were probably the only people that Dakota couldn't control.
Yeah, that's so sad.
So I mentioned earlier that Dakota didn't have a job. He was managing all of their money.
Oh.
But that's not even the worst part. Jessica wrote about a time Dakota had her pinned down and her son walked in the room and saw everything.
Oof.
So, however, the police did get the cell phone records and Dakota was home like he said. He has a good alibi, but now they have this information. So Dakota becomes a person of interest because he lied to the police about 2 things. 1, the journal, and 2, that he had a healthy, great relationship and he was about to be married even. And so they're like, okay, you're coming in. So Dakota goes in for more questioning with this new knowledge that the police have. Dakota admitted that he had jealousy issues. Their relationship, Jessica's family knew, was all a facade and it was rough. But he swears he never got physical with her, which contradicts what Jessica wrote. However, the bottom line, he claims he had nothing to do with her being missing. And police said Dakota was fully cooperative in the investigation, though I think to most people, it was easy for them to push the idea that it's him, even though he has the strong alibi. And, I mean, just to make this clear, having a strong alibi doesn't mean you're a good person.
Right.
So, and even Jessica's family couldn't argue with the fact that there's no evidence that Dakota was involved. He just lied and treated Shelley's daughter not the best, according to Jessica's journal. That's almost like a whole separate case.
Right.
So they had to move on, and again, the case goes cold. Months pass, there's nothing, but in February of 2014, things change. Detective Mike gets word from an investigator from Kalamazoo, Michigan, and they tell him that a young woman in her 20s with blonde hair gets abducted, dragged into a car, and gets sexually assaulted. Though this woman survived and was able to identify her attacker. His name was Brad Allen Mason. Brad's background was that he was a sex offender and a serial rapist. Brad even had a penchant for indecent exposure and kidnapping. So the point of telling this part was that Brad sort of looked like the original sketch in Jessica's case.
Oh yeah, you're going to show me a picture?
Pull up
okay,
Brad.
Good.
This is Brad.
Oh.
So.
Zoom in on his face. Like, when it's that close, I could see that.
Yeah. So he sort of.
He's kind of got, like, a
sketch.
long, skinny nose, yeah.
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 We'll post all these photos on Facebook.
Yeah.
Or our social media
Instagram,
in general.
whatever.
So I would also like to mention that Brad was in jail for 6 years and then let out on parole. His halfway house was in Norton Shores, literally down the road from the gas station.
Oh, boy.
So a lot of his victims had similar profiles to Jessica. So that's why they told this detective.
Yeah.
They're like, he really matches the description. And police really weren't convinced, but it was honestly worth a shot at this point. But I think just so many dead ends. It was like, okay.
Might as well with a cold case.
Right. So there was like nothing to lose. So they did. They went on the search for Brad, but it wasn't easy. Apparently, Brad died by officer-assisted suicide after he drew a realistic gun on police when they came to arrest him on his most recent rape charge. He wouldn't drop the weapon, and police were under the impression that it was real.
Right.
So even today, Brad remains on the person of interest list for this case, but they couldn't find anything to link him to Jessica.
Wow.
He had no credit cards. He lived off the grid, basically.
Yeah.
And detectives can't talk to him either, obviously, because he's deceased. It's dropped.
Wow.
At this time, it's still 2014, Dakota has been arrested for several counts of selling marijuana. So Samantha, who was one of Jessica's sisters, moves back to Norton Shores to file custody of the son. After a long custody battle between Samantha, Dakota, and Dakota's parents, Samantha won custody.
Good.
So the son is taken care of.
Okay.
I had to put that in there. That was my first thing. I'm
that's what I was thinking.
Okay,
I was like,
mom's missing. It's been a year, and now the dad just got arrested. So on April 16th, 2016, it was early Saturday morning, a 16-year-old girl from the Muskegon County area was abducted. The girl has never been named publicly because she was a minor at the time of this case. Anyways, she left a party and was walking along the side of the road when she got lost on the way home. A guy pulls up to her and asks if she's lost. She replies that she is, and he follows up by asking her if she would like to borrow his cell phone.
Oh, no.
She responds yes, and she reaches out for the phone, but he says, no, if you want to use my phone, you have to get in my car to use it.
Oh, hell no.
This girl's young.
Yeah.
She's 16. She's lost. This looks like her only option. So she gets into the silver Chrysler Town and Country minivan.
Oh, no.
This girl gets in, and the man locks the door and puts a gun up against her head as they drive off. Somehow, this girl manages to jump out of a moving car, screaming and running away up to a house for help.
Good girl.
She only has some minor scrapes.
Okay, good.
So this homeowner lets her inside the house, saved her life.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. So cops are called, obviously, and this girl is able to describe the car and her kidnapper. The girl was also able to pick this man from a lineup with zero hesitation.
Oh, shit.
It was a 46-year-old married man named Jeffrey Willis. Jeffrey was on the police's radar, but he didn't really have a criminal history. He had like minor things like speeding tickets and stuff. But in 2007, he was caught filming a woman in a parking lot without her consent.
Ooh.
He was also fired from a school where he was a custodian because he was watching porn on the school computer.
I'm sorry, it's not funny. It's really creepy, but like, why?
Police were kind of getting weird vibes from him, and they almost had like a deja vu moment. So they looked into their files. And apparently, I wrote that all in caps. Jeffrey Willis was questioned in 2013 for Jessica's case. Police noted that he recently cleaned out his van at the time she was missing. Side note.
Don't like that.
Here is Jeffrey Willis.
Okay.
Compared, well, let me show you. This is the sketch.
Right.
We all remember?
Yeah.
This is Jeffrey Willis.
Oh. Oh. Mm-hmm.
That's
nose.
him.
The nose is like spot on,
The nose
too.
and the smaller eyes,
Yeah.
like they're closer together. Compared to him?
Oh, for sure. Go back and zoom in on his eyes, because he's wearing glasses and he has facial hair, so you can't see too much. Oh, yeah. Ooh.
That's him.
Yeah, and
So-
it even has like kind of like the bags, like the downturned. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's him.
Got him.
Ugh.
So it was like 3 years difference, but you
Yeah.
can tell it's like, no.
Right.
That's him. Police got a search warrant.
Mhm.
It's awful.
Oh.
Police found in the van there was handcuffs, rope, a ball gag, a long metal bar with wrist restraints, pornographic material of women tied up, chains, Viagra, rubber gloves, a camera, a pistol and ammunition, insulin, syringes, the list goes on. This is his van.
Ooh.
That's just the van.
In a town and country. What? makes me sick.
Speaking of the van, it's just such a family-friendly looking van.
Exactly.
Which I think is, we always picture like, oh, it's a big scary van, but it's like, no, this was a very common soccer mom van.
Yeah,
you know?
I think that's what makes it even creepier.
Yep. His house, worse. The outside is obviously normal. A lot of people, if you drove by, you would not think.
Hate it.
Let me guess what's in that house.
Hate it.
Police find Jeffrey's computer that contained children's pornography, hundreds of videos of women, same thing, but some of them are being murdered.
Oh my
I will mention that some are fictional and acted out, but others are real.
Yeah.
And so he had just files and files of this. On May 17th, Jeffrey is arrested for attempted kidnapping and is labeled a person of interest in Jessica's case. It's at this time police discovered that he is linked to another cold case. And this is a case from a 2014. It's the murder of Rebecca Sue Bletch. Police also find on Jeffrey's computer a folder labeled VICS, and police believed it's short for victims. In the VIX folder is another folder labeled JLH. The folder included pictures of Jessica Lynn Heeringa. Now, the file name of the JLH ended in DZ13, which was a code. And they deciphered the code to be D, the number 4, Z, the number 26. So it's 4/26/13, the day Jessica disappeared. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's insane.
Once this was out, witnesses started reporting that Jeffrey was seen at the gas station. Not the same time or day that was asked, but in general. And even some of Jeffrey's coworkers said they went with him to the same gas station because it was 5 minutes from his work.
Oh, okay.
So it was very convenient, not out of the, like, not odd, like he was making his way out to this gas station. It was it was like, okay, here's work, gas station, home.
Yeah.
So it just makes sense. Now, during court, Brenda, who was a regular customer of Jessica's, said that Jeffrey was at the gas station the night before she was missing. Brenda was having a conversation with Jessica about, like, she shouldn't be working here so late because there is no security cameras. And she's like, oh, maybe get your boyfriend to be here, you know, just for those closing times. And I will make a side note. Shelly, who is Jessica's mom, also said the same thing. Like, she was just that concern, like, why are you here?
I can't believe they didn't have cameras.
Yeah. And Brenda said that Jeffrey interrupts their conversation and makes a comment about her customers look after her too.
Ew.
And Brenda could tell Jessica, like, she just kind of, she shivered. She was
like,
put
ew.
off by this comment.
Yeah.
And Brenda left the gas station, but she stayed in her car until closing and, like, made sure Jeffrey drove away.
Yeah.
He left and Jessica was safe.
Good.
So, good for Brenda.
Nice lady.
Okay.
We stand Brenda.
I know, and I can't blame Brenda because honestly that was really, really great of her, but I wish she would have said something 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, by the way, there was a guy that was kind of weird the night before.
Well, here's my thing is, like, I think a lot of the time, even with the guy who is making the phone call, they're afraid to sound stupid.
It's September 2016. She went missing 2013. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Jeffrey is charged with Rebecca's murder and is officially charged with Jessica's murder as well with no body. And no body cases they're tough.
They're hard.
They're hard to put in court. So they still need to find a body. And so here's another piece of information. Jeffrey's first cousin, Kevin Bloom, got a phone call from Jeffrey on April 27th to come over. There was a party at Jeffrey's. Kevin goes over and heads down to the basement where he finds Jeffrey standing next to a naked woman who he called the gas station girl. Kevin said once he got a good look at her face, and now knowing what he does know, it was for sure Jessica. There was a wound on her head and she appeared deceased. Kevin also claims that Jeffrey admitted that he sexually assaulted her. There was a video camera set up at the time too. Kevin goes on to say that he helped Jeffrey bury the body.
Oh, come on, dude. Why?
Later on, Kevin said he made all of this up. However, at the spot that Kevin told police where the body was, there was no Jessica.
Oh.
And I unfortunately couldn't find out the timeline
Yeah.
of when they realized Jessica wasn't there or when he changed his mind.
Yeah.
They were not clear on that. So I don't know if it was all my information, they go, I made it all up, just kidding, or vice versa.
Interesting.
So even so, Jessica's body is still missing. Kevin wiped everything off his phone and computer before he handed them to the police.
Kevin.
The location he told the police didn't add up with the rest of the facts in general. But there was clearly something he didn't want the police to find, and many question what his relationship with his cousin was. So whether it was just he was aware of what he did, he participated, or even was Kevin the person Jeffrey went to vent to. So all possible theories. And so Kevin is charged with lying to the police and spends a little over a year in jail. He had a 5-year probation and a GPS monitor at all times.
Can I ask you, and this kind of not off topic, but like I was going to ask earlier, with the trial, with there being no body, did any of the pictures on his computer or anything that they could use in court?
No. So actually everything that was on, it was kind of interesting. Some things were really graphic, but for Jessica's body, it was like this was the weird part. He would be like photos like of her and her son, or like any photos that you would see publicly.
Okay.
But also all of the missing person.
Okay, so it wasn't like what he did to her.
No.
Okay.
I think some of them were, for sure. He had some graphic stuff. But some of the stuff, I should have said this. Some of the stuff they said that wasn't even his.
Interesting.
Like, he liked watching that kind of stuff, so he started recreating it.
Ew.
As I mentioned earlier, Jeffrey was married. They did get a divorce, but she also made an appearance in the courtroom for Rebecca's murder, which they had proof on. This part, after doing everything, after I read the entire case, I had to go back. I'm like, I need to know about this woman, because what was going on in that house.
Right.
Especially everything that was in the van, everything that was in the house. Well, in the basement.
Yeah.
So she told the jury she didn't know about the messages an investigator left on their answering machine, asking her to call the police. The answering machine tape was eventually found inside a green camera bag in Jeffrey's shed. And she said she didn't put it there, and she testified that he never told her about the officers wanting to talk to her.
Oh.
So I thought this was kind of interesting. A different side of the case that no, like, media, newspaper, like, we didn't cover that part, really.
Right.
So this is a little bit of the different side. She also said she never supplied Jeffrey with the insulin or syringes found in a lockbox in his minivan. And Jeffrey had never injected her with insulin, although he attended classes with her to learn how to do so.
She diabetic?
She needed the insulin.
Yeah. Was he using that to, like, knock people out or something?
I think so. I don't know what he was using the insulin for.
Yeah.
But he had insulin syringes.
Just
but
interesting.
He had the knowledge because he went to classes with her, but she never gave it to him to lock in a minivan. But he knows how to use it. So that's where that kind of comes into, which makes a little bit more sense. Because I read that, I'm thinking, where the heck did he get insulin from? Like, just randomly off the street. That seems odd.
Right.
But that's expensive. Like,
oh, yeah. People who actually need it, it's hard for them to buy it.
Well,
you know?
yeah. So I'm like, why would you just carry that around?
Right.
She also appeared to tear apart Jeffrey's alibi for the night of Jessica's disappearance.
Do it. Get him. Tear it apart.
Authorities investigating a tip about Jeffrey's silver minivan frequenting a Starbucks said Jeffrey met them on his front porch on May 8th, 2013. They testified Jeffrey told them he visited the gas station and bought mints from Jessica around 5 p.m. the day of her abduction. He told them he played in a Magic the Gathering tournament, so he went to the tournament at the nearby Lang Sports Shop from 5 p.m. to about 9:30 p.m. before returning home around 9:45 p.m. The officer said Jeffrey told them he stayed home until about 12:30 a.m. when he left to go to his grandfather's house to get a piece of wood to repair his dog kennel, then ordered Taco Bell and headed home. The wife said the dog crate was made of metal fencing with a plastic pan at the base and wasn't broken in any way.
Oh. It's those weird little facts like that gets you.
Yeah. So the testimony also contradicted his explanation for storing insulin and syringes in their minivan.
Right.
She said she never gave those supplies, and there was never an occasion when Jeffrey had to inject her with insulin to bring her blood sugar levels back to normal. But Jeffrey knew how to use them. She did agree with that. And they were given a diagram that showed injection sites. So that's all that it has been. But she has never had to use it. Like, him having to inject it, that has never happened. So him having it, she's like, oh, no. That would not be necessary. So she disagreed with Jeffrey's explanation for the large amount of bleach and cleaning products authorities found in the basement of his grandfather's house. Jeffrey had told authorities that they were left over from when his grandfather was alive. However, she said that Jeffrey's he would never purchase that much bleach. And she couldn't think of any reason why he would have stored it in the basement because he stopped going down there and the washing machine was upstairs. And she said while Jeffrey's brother was the executor of their grandfather's estate, Jeffrey went to the house on several occasions to check the locks and mow the lawn. Mm-hmm. So that's why he was over there. She said she never saw this type of pornography or the handgun and the black toolbox that contained the ropes change, the ball gag, everything that's on the minivan. Mm-hmm. She's never seen it. But this is what she did say. Occasionally, I would walk in, usually at dinner time, to give him his meal, and he'd quickly shut the computer down, and I'd catch a glimpse of porn. Nothing other than adults. It wasn't this extreme. Like, I'm saying he was into, like, the BDSM and obviously the children, but, like, he was into some intense
snuff films.
Yes, he was. So she said she's never seen that part. Yeah. She just saw him.
She sounds like she has a pretty sound mind, so I'm sure if, like, she did see that, she'd probably be like, no.
She said her and her husband started parting ways in 2011. At the time of Jessica's disappearance, she said that they were working different shifts, and she actually suspected Jeffrey was seeing someone else. They were together for 18 years, married for 13, but that's
a long time.
But for the last 5-6 years, they kind of lived separate lives. Mm-hmm. And then when they were together, there was a lot of abuse verbally, according to the wife. And on the day the teen was kidnapped, the Saturday, April 16, 2016, the wife said she was out of town on an overnight trip with some of the teens she mentored and her pastor's wife. Okay. She was very involved in her church. And she had routines, and that's what she said, like, on Sunday, I do this, I do this, I do this. So she wasn't even gone. Like, she was there. So she was doing church things while this teen was getting kidnapped. Yeah. And then the cousin, Kevin Bloom, she said he would come over to their house for poker games, but that stopped after Jessica's disappearance. And she said that Jeffrey pinned the Rebecca murder on Kevin. Poker games stopped because they had the 2 dogs at home, there wasn't room, and he was vulgar about... And before she was able to finish that sentence, they had an objection. And she wasn't allowed to answer when asked if Willis had asked her to participate in any videos. Ooh. We don't know. But I thought I'd put that in there because I thought it was very important to know. So that's everything the wife knew. Yeah. And I wanted to add that into case because I thought it was a whole different side than what we were talking about.
Yeah, I don't think I've even really heard about the wife.
Yeah, no, I haven't either. But out of all of this, Jeffrey was found guilty of the murder of Rebecca Blech and Jessica Heeringa. And he is sentenced to life without parole for both charges. In a way, Jessica's family has not had the closure that they deserve. Right. So, thank you again to Jordan for your case suggestion.
For a second, I thought you were talking to me. I was like, what?
Not you.
There's too many. I don't know.
We will have pictures on our social media if you're interested. Yeah. And we'll also post in the show notes just links to help prevent domestic violence and kidnapping in general, and just signs that you can look out for and what you're able to do.
And let's remember, even if you may sound stupid afterwards, say something if you see something. Yes. Right? Because it's okay. Who cares if you sound stupid afterwards? Mm-hmm. Because you never know what you could be stopping. Yes. Be smart.
No, absolutely. I mean, we think of how long this case went on, and it wasn't until after he was caught that a bunch of people started saying something. Yeah, like all these people, he was hanging around there. Oh, I saw him there. But they did have a Jessica's Law that they're trying to pass. Yeah. I don't think it's passed yet, but it's the fact of... I'll actually read it to you. Okay. The bill would require gas stations and convenience stores operating between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. to schedule at least 2 workers on that shift, or require gas stations and convenience stores to install and maintain a security camera that would record attacks, robberies, or other crimes that threaten workers. And I believe it was to be 10,000 square feet retail space. So if it had that, you had to have it. Yeah. However, it's still in the, which is sad. It's not passed yet, as far as I know. They're still trying to fight for it because small business owners are wondering whether they can even afford to have 2 workers on the same shift or how expensive security cameras are.
Honestly, here's my point is if you can't do that, don't have people there that late.
Right.
I'm sorry. I mean, you'd lose out money that way, too.
You lose out money, but also at the same time, I just think for people's safety, is it really worth it?
You have to protect your employees.
Right. 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. What do your sales look like?
Right.
I mean, I think some places maybe, sure, they can fight that, but a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I read a quote. I mean, I'm going to butcher it, but in a way, Jessica's mom, she went there and they were like, well, I don't know if we can really pass this, because they were explaining what I just said.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, if you have a daughter, then I'm happy for you. But but that's true.
Yeah.
You know, if it's just,
I mean, that is a real punch in the gut to be like, well, because of the money. And it's like, yeah, well, my daughter's dead.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's horrible. That was a good one. Thank you, Jordan, and thank you, Emma.
You're welcome.
We hope you guys have a good Tuesday.
Yes.
And we have a fun, spooky episode. I can do a real good man voice because my voice is fucked up right now.
Yeah.
Ghost story. Ooh. Spooky.
All right. See you later, guys. All right. Bye.
Bye.